Hello everyone, how's it going? Well, I wanted to post an 8-year update video. I apologize, you guys will have to bear with me because I suck at making videos. So a lot of people point that out to me, and I know, I agree. So like I said, you just have to bear with me here. Back 8 years ago, in September of 2011 I believe, I posted a video voicing my concerns about my VCT rattle, or at the time I had assumed it was VCT rattle, which I later ascertained that it was in fact VCT related. You'll find it if you go all the way back through my videos on my channel to the very first one. And it was a video on this truck about a rattling sound, which a lot of people describe it pretty much the way I would, which it sounds like you've got BBs inside of a metal can and you're shaking it back and forth violently. And that's what this one sounds like. And it still makes that rattle noise to this day. And I also recorded a video just a few minutes ago, which I will show here. And as you can see, it still makes the noise every bit as clearly as it did back then, which, you know, it should, but it has not gotten louder, which is a plus. Later on, I found that it was related to the VCT solenoids. I also saw a video several months back about phaser oscillation, which Fortec Maculoco had posted. And he explains it as oil pressure being erratic. So at those RPMs, when you're lightly pressing the accelerator, the oil pressure being kind of all over the place causes the phaser to oscillate back and forth rapidly, which causes the noise. And I could definitely see that that could be a possibility. I have heard of some people fixing the rattle by just replacing the solenoids with the updated version. I can't say one way or the other because I've never done it. One day I might decide to pull the valve covers on this truck and change them out just to see, but I don't see that happening anywhere in the near future because the truck is just running good. And you know, I'm the kind of person with the mindset, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And as far as I'm concerned, this truck ain't broke. So I don't want to start going and fixing it. I'm just going to keep running it, and I'm going to see how far I can get with the original timing set on this engine. So far, like I said, it's still running great. It's still got great power. So, and I've also done oil analysis testing on it, and it shows great wear numbers, better than most 3-valve engines. Very, very low aluminum and iron, etc. And it just shows to be a very healthy motor. A lot of people ask me, you know, how is the truck doing, or have you done a timing set? And no, I have not done a timing set, and the truck still runs great. It still manages to get anywhere from 17.5 to 18 miles per gallon average. It runs great, sounds great. It also still has the startup rattle, which I showed in my video, which I believe was called F-150 5.4 liter 3-valve startup rattle explained, where I talked about the gaskets blowing out on these 3-valve engines. 97 to like 02, 2-valve engines had cast iron tensioners which did not use a gasket, and they also had a fail-safe ratcheting mechanism built into them, where if something in the tensioner failed that would cause it to collapse, the ratchet mechanism would catch the arm and keep it from actually collapsing. Where these engines have a plastic tensioner with a coating of sealant on the back of it that tends to blow out and cause startup rattle. And if it's blown out bad enough, it can also cause low oil pressure to like the camshaft. That's one of the reasons that I wanted to install a oil pressure, an aftermarket oil pressure gauge under the hood of this truck to monitor my oil pressure, because I know how bad these engines are about low oil pressure. Between the problems with their oil pumps and the timing chain tensioner gaskets blowing out and allowing oil pressure to blow past the tensioner and right back into the pan. And these 2007s were also known, this particular year was very known for failed crankshaft thrust washers, which also would cause low oil pressure. There's so many different things that cause oil pressure in these engines and just absolutely destroys them. I still do believe that the timing chain tensioner gasket is probably what's going on with this one. It still rattles at startup, and it has rattled at startup ever since I've owned it. I got this truck as a 15-year-old kid, which, you know, as an ignorant teenager, I did no preliminary research to, you know, before buying the truck, and so I went ahead and got it. And after getting it, I noticed the startup rattle like day one. After getting it, I went online and typed it in, you know, just 5.4 3-valve startup rattle, and that's when I learned about all of the issues these engines have. Anywhere from, you know, the timing chain tensioners to oil pumps to cam phasers, and just all of these BS problems that these engines have because Ford tried to cheap out on every last thing they could, which, you know, two-piece spark plugs that break off in the head, which, by the way, I did these in 2018. I was very fortunate to get away without breaking one, because by that time I had the spark plugs changed the first time in 2012 by the dealer, and the ones they put back in supposedly had extra crimping on the bottom shell, and which would keep it from breaking off in the head. The extra crimping doesn't guarantee them not to break off. You just have to change them early. I did these at 60,000 after I had them replaced the first time, and it went, you know, no problem. It was absolute breeze. For quite a while, you know, based on the issues that I've had, which are, you know, mainly it's just noise, but it doesn't cause any running issues. But the startup rattle and the VCT rattle at 800 to 1200 RPM, I just decided to just drive it and just see what would happen. And luckily, fortunately, thank God, I haven't had anything bad happen with the engine. I haven't had to go into it for any reason. So, and I also keep a watch on the oil pressure and make sure that it doesn't drop low. And that is definitely one thing that I can say about this truck, is that it does not have oil pressure problems like a lot of 3-valve engines do. On a 100-degree day, I can run this truck 60 miles on the highway and come to a stop and immediately check it, and it's got 25 psi of oil pressure. So that's no problem. That's right where it should be. I know that Ford lowered the spec to 15, which I'm not comfortable with that. I know if this one was showing 15, I would be trying to find out what's wrong with it, because it just doesn't sound right to me. It's just my personal opinion. Few things that I want to say to people that are looking to potentially buy one of these trucks. You know, if you don't want to go brand new, you know, because a lot of these F-150s, you know, are running in the $60,000 to $70,000 range, which is absolutely absurd. But if you're looking at an 04 to 08 F-150, you know, and it seems like a good deal and it's for a real cheap price, stay away from it. I know that I haven't had any issues with this one, but I'm really lucky. But these engines have a bad reputation for a reason. Now, if you get one, you know, really cheap, and you're willing to do the work to the engine or even put another engine in it, you know, that's fine. But if you're looking for something that you can just hop in and drive and, you know, get you from point A to point B, my recommendation would be to just look past these trucks, because they're just really not worth the headache and time. I know that what I'm saying is subjective, but if it were me and I was to go back and do it all over again, you know, looking for a truck, I would not have purchased this truck. I would not even have considered it. I'm glad I did, because I actually got very lucky in picking this one, but it could have went south very, very easily. A lot of people have also asked me, like, what kind of oil do I run? You know, what did I do to make it last this long? And the truth, really, what it boils down to is luck. Maintenance does have a lot to do with it, you know, just keeping the oil changed. I keep this one changed every 3,000. I get a lot of flack for that, but so what? You know, it's my money. You know, so I just like to change it because I know how sensitive these engines are to oils, filters especially. I think filters are more important than the oil. One of the worst things you can do is run an orange can Fram. I believe it's the Fram PH2, which is the cross reference for the FL820S, which is the base. That is the orange can Frams are their base filter. It is the worst filter that you could possibly buy. And I know that I've had a lot of people argue with me, well, I've ran them, you know, for 30 years and I've never had trouble, and that's great. But it is an undeniable fact that Fram standards are subpar. They are not what they should be. The cardboard end caps do not filter properly. It actually allows oil to bypass a lot of times. And with the oil passages being really small in these engines, they crud up real quick, and they can eventually clog. It's very imperative to have good oil filtration in a 3-valve engine. That's why I recommend Motorcraft filters, or, you know, run something like Mobil 1 or AMSOIL filters, something that is a good name brand. But Fram, don't even look at those unless you're talking about a Fram Ultra. Now, Fram Ultra, those are pretty good filters, but the orange can ones are absolutely detrimental to these engines. When the cam journal oil passages get clogged in these trucks, you know, it will damage the journals, because oil is not making it to the journal properly. It won't make it to the cam phaser. There's just a whole bunch of different things that running a Fram filter can cause on these engines, and it's just not worth it. When you can, for like $1 more or something, I know it's not that big of a difference, you can go to Walmart and pick up a Motorcraft FL820S and have filtration that the orange can Fram can't even hold a candle to. If you do have a 3-valve, one of the best things to do for them is to run 5W30. Now, I'm still running 5W20 in this truck. I will make the switch. I just haven't done it yet. I probably will, probably in the next 20,000-30,000 miles. I just haven't been in a hurry for it because it's been doing fine. The phasers are still quiet, and it still runs, like I said, it still runs great. I will be doing that eventually, and it's because Ford only recommended the 5W20 for cafe standards. Or, you know, it's not that 5W20 is really better for this engine. It just helps it get better fuel economy. 5W30 is a little bit heavier in viscosity, therefore it causes a little bit more drag on internal components, which causes a little bit less MPG theoretically. I've heard of a lot of people saying their MPG was not affected, but it definitely does lubricate better than 5W20. As the truck sits currently, it has, I think, 161,530 something miles. So I'm just basically driving it and monitoring it closely, as I always have done, and I'm just going to see how long I can get it to go before it either A, blows the motor, or B, I have to at least, you know, make a repair to the timing set, you know, replace chains and tensioners and whatnot. But I tell you one thing, if I do have to do timing on this engine, I absolutely will not be going back with the plastic tensioners. I will be using the 2-valve cast iron ratcheting tensioners. A lot of people use those. They are direct bolt up, they say, and it is far superior to the original plastic ones with a gasket. So basically, with all that being said, that's just my quick little update video that I wanted to make. I'm hoping that answers any questions that anyone may have. I love the truck. I love this body style. 04 to 08 happens to be my favorite. It's just unfortunate that they were so plagued with issues, mainly with the engine. Just hoping the engine won't explode at some point. But you know, it's made it this far, so you know, hopefully it won't. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and please feel free to comment, like, dislike, tell me I'm an idiot, whatever. You know, anything positive or negative is completely welcome. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next video.